right, that's right.
Now it's Scott Shire introducing Diane.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
Well, everybody, this is Diane's ninth speech. This one is Persuade with Power. And I know Diane's a powerful speaker, so it's going to be an exciting speech, isn't it? Yes. Now, she's picked her topic today to be on civil liberties, and in part because she enjoys so much the new procedures that our government's enacted at the airports with full-body pat-downs, full-body x-rays, and she's excited about how our government's going into every part of our civil liberties, and wants to persuade us that our government is not necessarily the benevolent government that we'd all like it to be, and that if we want to maintain our freedom, we have to be willing to fight for it and guard it. And to persuade us in that direction, I bring you Diane.
Thank you very much. I'm glad Scott did my intro, because my intro was a lot sketchier than that was. The Declaration of Independence says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Our founding fathers were pretty smart. They decided that England was not a benevolent government. They were ruling them with an iron fist. They didn't take into consideration the rights and beliefs of the American population, and they said, "We're out of here." And they also, in the Declaration of Independence, put in a caveat that if our government proceeds to behave the way the previous government behaved, we have not only the right, but the obligation to either get rid of them or fix them. But that is our right. We also have the right to petition our government. And when they wrote the Constitution, the states wanted better protections, so they created the Bill of Rights. And the only one I want to speak to today is the fourth. And the fourth says, "The right of the people to be secure in their person, houses, papers, and effects, against all unreasonable searches and seizures. This shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized." So when you walk into the airport, the first thing they do is ask you, did somebody give you something that you don't know about? Which is a brilliant question, because if you didn't know about it, then you don't know, and you can't answer that question in the affirmative. The other thing they do is they now go through your luggage, and they go through your person. Now this sounds, because of 9/11 and some of the other incidents we've had on airports, this sounds like a really, really, really good thing. But as far as I know, when you purchased that plane ticket, you did not give up your rights. In fact, the Declaration of Independence says you have inalienable rights, which means whether or not you give them up, they are still your rights. That the government does not have the ability to take your stuff, search your person without probable cause. And probable cause is not that I showed up at an airport on a Monday morning because I want to go visit my mom in Florida. This is not the only case where the government has overstepped their bounds. A couple of years ago, everybody heard about the fact that AT&T was scanning your phone calls, that they were spying on you for the US government, because the government asked. Nobody had a warrant, nobody had a right. There was no rule of law that allowed AT&T to do this, but they did it anyhow. If you watch all the cop shows now, they talk about cyberspace, and all of your communication is out there forever. But it should still be your personal property. Just because it's not on a piece of paper in an envelope, why is your email any different than your mail? Why are your phone conversations, because you're on a cell phone, any different than your phone conversation was when you were on a landline? But the government's determined, because of the difference in how you're transmitted, the founding fathers could not have determined in that time frame, unless they were, Isaac Asimov, that one day everything would be flying through the air. There'd be no landlines, there'd be no carrier pigeons, there'd be no Pony Express. Everything would be almost instantaneous. But our ability to protect ourselves from our government and ways, and we talk about your medical history being private. Well, there shouldn't have ever been a question that it was private. Insurance companies shouldn't be privy to passing information to other insurance companies because that's your private information. You are entitled to your privacy. You're entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have forgotten that we are entitled to these things. It's very difficult to say, I don't want to be patted down because I know I'm not responsible for 9/11. However, but this makes me safer from 9/11. Well, it really doesn't. I can get on a plane in John Wayne Airport, not having gone through a pat down, not having gone through strip searches or whatever the hell they're doing, and I can transfer to another plane in LAX without ever going through gun control. There is no security. You cannot protect the population from one man who's willing to die for a cause. You just can't. You may catch one, but you can't catch them all. So why should every one of us in this room give up our rights to our personal freedom and personal liberty for the fact that one maniac one day may be headed for an airport where we are? The object of our government is that we are entitled to due process. And I understand it may be a little more dangerous to have people flying who are maybe threatening us, but I think it's even more dangerous to let our government have that much control, because it's not a control you can ever get back. This is not 1984, but we've gone way beyond 1984. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Okay, I'll give you all a minute to